In this video, I want to talk about Copilot and Power BI, and I want to give you a short overview about all the possibilities of Copilot in Power BI at this moment. And if you wonder what's this moment, it's October 2025. I am very sure if we are in October 2026, this video will be outdated, but I want to give you an overview about what's possible at this moment. And why do I do this? I hear a lot of questions about Copilot in Power BI from my clients, and I was very curious, like what's possible. And Microsoft has great documentation about it. I will put the links in the description, but it's a lot of documentation and I missed this overview. So I thought I will create this. Talking about Copilot in Power BI, it's not as easy as referring to the Copilot in Power BI because there are several places where you can find Copilot. So here's an overview where I found it at the moment I recorded this video. We have the standalone experience, which is in the Power BI service environment, the online environment. We have Copilot in Power BI service when we open a report or maybe even want to create an entirely new report. We can do that in the online environment. We have Copilot in Power BI desktop where we again can create new reports, talk to our data, all these kind of things, but also where we can prepare our data for AI and where we can get help with our DAX measures by creating them or even explaining them, which is very handy if you work with a lot of people that create DAX measures and you have no clue what they did. Copilot can help you explain what's going on. So you see, there's not like this one place where we can find Copilot, and I will talk you through all the examples. I will show you where you can click, what you can do, and I would love to know how you are using Copilot at this moment and if it works as you expected and the things you would wish it could actually do that maybe follow in the future but are not working at the moment. Before we get started, there are a few requirements to use Copilot in Power BI. Maybe you open Power BI and the button for Copilot is not visible or grayed out. And then you wonder, how can I actually get it visible and working? There are some requirements. I will actually read them, so I'm very sure that I'm not forgetting anything there. Because to be able to use Copilot in Power BI, you need to be in a certain region. There are some regions that can't use it at the moment, and Microsoft has a list, and I will put the link to that list in the description of this video. I'm in the Netherlands. We can use Copilot. Second, your administrator needs to enable Copilot. And with administrator, I mean the tenant admin. And there's something special going on here. If your tenant is outside of the US or France, Copilot is disabled by default or should be disabled by default. Otherwise, it's enabled by default. This is actually something to look up. If it is not enabled, you need the tenant admin, if you're not the tenant admin yourself, to activate it for you. Then the sad part, because a lot of people still use Fabric trial licenses. It will not work with a trial license. I'm sorry. I also hope for that. You need at least an F2 capacity. And F2 is the cheapest capacity you can choose, so you don't need to have a very expensive capacity, but you still need a paid one. What I did is I got myself an F2 capacity and I have the pay-as-you-go option, and I only activate it when I want to do something like a demo for you to make it work. So it's not super expensive compared to when you let it run the full month. That can be an option if you want to try it. Before we start, I will show you how you can activate Copilot in Power BI because, well, we need to activate before we use it. Here we are in my admin portal. If you wonder, how do I get to the admin portal? You can go to the settings at the top and then go to admin portal. You maybe see here at the top that I also have a Fabric trial license. And that's because I have a Fabric trial license for my tenant, but for the workspace where I want to put in the reports that I can talk to with Copilot, I need an actual Fabric license. So we are in the admin portal. Now, the admin portal, you always get like this full list of stuff. And luckily there's the search function, and I just type in Copilot here. And you see all the information where Copilot is part of. And the important part is this part, Copilot and Azure OpenAI services. So the first one is users can use Copilot and other features powered by Azure OpenAI. Well, you need to enable that. Important to say, you can apply this for the entire organization, but you could also choose a specific security group if you only want a few people or a selected group to actually use Copilot. Then the second one, very important if you want to use the standalone Copilot experience. Then we have a lot of other options. I will skip them for now. The last one, only show AI prepped items in Standalone Copilot and the Power BI agent. This is very handy because, and I will talk about this later on, about the prep your data for AI. You can make sure that only prepped data is shown by Copilot. So you can make it very sure that your end user only sees data that you actually prepared for AI. I would advise, if you want to use Copilot, make sure you prep your data for AI and then make sure that your users only see the things that are prepped for AI. So this is actually where you can set that up and activate it if it's not activated yet. So I told you you need a workspace with a fabric capacity to work with Copilot. How you can do that is you go to your workspaces and you say, I want a new workspace. You give it a name and then you actually choose, instead of Pro, Trial, Premium User, whatever you have, fabric capacity. And then you can actually further down choose the capacity that you want to select. And this is a mistake I made myself a few times. I clicked on trial, and like I said before, if you have a trial license, unfortunately you can't try out Copilot. Now, first I want to show you the standalone experience. What is the standalone experience? You can see it if you log into app.powerbi.com or app.fabric.com. You can see that button Copilot. When you click there for the first time, it asks you, can you please choose a workspace that supports Copilot? In this case, it's my Fabric workspace, select workspace. And now I get greeted, because Power BI knows who I am. Hey Valerie, uncover insights in your data with the help of AI. Now I've selected a workspace, but the insights that we will get will be for my full tenant, but only the stuff I'm allowed to see. So I think this is very important for people to know. Copilot doesn't overrule, for example, your access rights or row level security or these kind of things. They are still all valid. You will only see the stuff you're allowed to see. So you don't get to see like the salary reports of all your co-workers just because you search for it. Very important to know. So all the security rules are still in place. And what we can do with the standalone experience is we can actually talk to our data, ask questions, get a summary, these kind of things. Copilot gives us some options here already. Find an item, get a summary, or ask a question. For example, if I say find reports about, it types that in the box here. And now I could say profit. And here you already see like the first hit was profit and loss example Power BI. I can see the workspace where it is, data stories. I opened it 4 months ago. Oops. And I see some description. The report analyzes profit and loss, comparing year-to-date performance with the previous year, focusing on key financial metrics for informed decision making. This description was not provided by me. Copilot did that. And Copilot also tells you how it found that report. This report was matched on the title and its contents. So you see in the title it says profit and loss. The second option, our Copilot dashboard, it says was matched on its content. So it's really looking like what's the best fit for you, what could be the best answer for you. And what I could do now is, for example, I know I want this profit and loss report and I want an example for my team. So I could say, can you prep a summary for my team about, and now I could say profit and loss, but I could also say here, add items for better insights. I know this is a report. I can search for it. Here I have my profit and loss report. So I put it in and you see, you get automatically the full question. Can you prep a summary for my team about profit and loss? If I click on send, Copilot is doing all kinds of stuff in the background. And then you see we actually get a summary here of the numbers. We get some tables in here. You see that a Copilot refers in the text to some numbers, like these are the KPIs and these are the numbers in the table. And you get this whole summary. Now what you could do here is you could say explore answer. If you click that, you get a pop-up with actually the information in your answer, and you can rearrange the data, you can add data, you can add a filter, change a filter. So you can do all kinds of stuff. And you can also say, I want to view this in my report. So now the results that we see, this is the same visual I use in my report. But now I want a new visual. I want to see the profit by month for the year 2024. So I can ask that, and I ask what was profit by month in 2024 in a line chart. Let's see what Copilot comes up with. So I first get this text. This answer was generated from the report's underlying data, the semantic model, which may not be fully prepped for AI use. Correct, I didn't prep it for AI. Review carefully as accuracy may vary. Very important. Don't just believe everything, especially if the data is not prepped for AI. And then I can say, okay, I want to view my answer. And here we have, based on the available data, it looked at gross profit. I didn't say gross profit, net profit. I didn't say which profit. So it picks one. You could be more specific here. And I see actually what's going on, and it gives me a small summary. And again, we could explore the data again. And you see something here, how Copilot arrived at this. We can click that open and you can actually see which data was used by Copilot. So month, gross profit, and year is 2024. And we even see which table that came from. I mean, that's super helpful and handy. If we go back, I just say clear chat. And now I have a very vague question. For example, you're at an organization with 600 reports. You want to see all the reports that have financial stuff going on. So I want to know which reports have financial information. And I click on go. And now I actually see all the reports that have some financial information and where they are and when they were opened last. And I want to show you something more. Here I say show me everything with demo data, and to be honest, Power BI and Copilot only know that it's demo data, probably because I put it in the title, but we see some demo dashboards and where they reside, the workspace. And now I say, can you show me the semantic models? And there we are. These are all the semantic models that were somewhere labeled as demo data, because otherwise Copilot doesn't know that. And you can see here that one of my semantic models has actually an endorsement. I endorsed it as one of the best demo files my not existing company in this case has. This is very important because Copilot kind of looks at what information works best for you, and things like the same title, description, endorsement really help, because something that's endorsed, of course, will score higher if there are files with the same name. Also important, if you only have few access, I'm the admin, I can see everything. Of course, I see the semantic models. If you only have few access, you don't see the semantic models. Copilot will not show you these models as an option. Also important to know. So it's not like people that don't have access see these semantic models. So the standalone experience, it's not only fun to see and click around and get these short summaries, but I think it can be very helpful if you work in an organization where there are a lot of reports, you struggle to find stuff, and it's really easy to find the different options, to get some key insights, to ask some question against the data, or get some additional visuals. But of course, we do not only have the standalone experience, we can also use Copilot in our reports. And I show you the service, the online version first, and really short, and then we go into Power BI desktop. So here I have a report. This was actually also created by Copilot in my workspace. And now you see at the top the Copilot icon. If I click on that, I again get a lot of options like, what is this report page about? Prep a summary for my team. Tell me what Copilot can do. Very handy. We can click on understand the data. What is this page about? What stands out in the data? Is there anything critical I should follow up on? Dig deeper, really ask a question, or write a summary. And then we have prep a summary for my team, or write a short summary of a visual. And of course, you can ask your own questions. So if I say write a short summary for my team and I click on this, we actually get this summary. For example, in October we had the highest sales, which was 287% higher than March, and total sales for the year, if I click on 2, you see this is based on our KPI card, and then we have total cost of goods sold, also based on a KPI card, and total profit. You can click on these numbers that Copilot provides you, and it will show you the visual it is referring. And then we have like the highest monthly profit was in October, and it's based on this table, and by country we see the information there. So you not only get the summary, but it also guides you to where did I get that information from, which is super handy also if you want to double check stuff. I really like that short summary. I can also say, what is this report page about? And then you will get actually this. It's more of a summary. This is like you open a report from your coworker, you have no idea what it's about. Instead of reading everything they wrote down, you can get a short summary here. Now I want to show you something. Here I have profit by country, but I can also ask, can you create a column chart that shows cost of goods sold by country? And I'm in view mode, so I will not add anything to this report, but I ask Copilot, looking at this report, I mean, profit, nice, but I want to see the cost of goods sold. And you see, we get a short summary, but we also get a visual. We can make this a little bit bigger. And you also see how it was created. If I go into edit mode and I open Copilot and I ask the same question, I get the same result, but now I have the option add to page, which means I could actually add this to my page. I don't need to create this again. I don't need to add all the information manually. I can just add it to this page. I think this is a good moment to go to Power BI Desktop. So here we are in Power BI Desktop. You see the same report you saw before because I created it in desktop. You see some fake data. There's no dimensional model here. This is demo data that I loaded. This is very much not prepared in a good data model. But then again, it's demo data. There isn't so much information in there. And if we open Copilot, and we can do this with this button, we see we can create a new report page, suggest content for a new report page, answer questions. We can select some skills because we can tell Copilot what it should focus on. Now, I want to show you something. We can just create a new page, or we can say create a new report page, and then Copilot gives us all kinds of informations and questions like, what do you want to look at? I see there's sales, profit, units sold, cross sales. What do you want to look at? And I say, I want to look at this more from a financial perspective and focus on KPIs and some visuals that show me by month how we perform. And then we get some KPIs, we get a filter, a slice at the top for year, and we get these very boring line charts. So I can say, but I want a table at the bottom right to summarize everything and a column chart showing the profit by country. And you see Copilot actually creates a new version. Now, what's happening here? I asked for a table at the bottom right. This is not what I would call bottom right, but at least there's a table and there is a profit by country chart. Now I could talk to Copilot and discuss how we are going to do this. For now, my advice would be just put stuff at the places where I actually want them. I want this visual here. Just doing some rearranging here. This is not the best layout in the world, but this actually gives me kind of what I wanted. And why did I just do that and not ask Copilot 20 times to rearrange? I think you need to choose what you want to use Copilot for. At this moment, I use Copilot to get a first overview like this, and then I would get started with visualizing it in a way that works for me. But this is very easy, just providing me a starting point. So this would not at this moment replace the work I'm doing as a consultant, because I can do so much more with this. But not knowing this data, I just imported demo data, and getting an overview by Copilot what it's all about and creating a report can be super handy. Now, before I go into DAX and show you how that works, you can do the other stuff that I showed you before in the online environment also here. So ask questions, these kind of things. I want to show you something because maybe your user wants to see profit by country and they would ask that question, but maybe they would ask it differently to Copilot. So we have our visual here, profit by country. Now, if I click on the three dots, I can say set up a verified answer. I can actually write down phrases, what people would ask to get to that information. For example, someone could ask, which country has the highest profit? Okay, which country has the lowest profit? What is the total profit by country? But maybe your users call profit something completely different because every business has a different explanation. So we could say, which country has the highest thingy? Because at your company, they are not referring to profit as profit, but as thingy. I know that's made up on the spot, but please hang on with me there. So we tell Copilot, if someone says, which country has the highest thingy, we want that visual as an answer. I click on apply and on close. Now, you could publish this report to the online environment and your user could ask that question. You can also check this here, what's going on. I just put which country has the highest thingy in my Copilot pane. And I say send. And the answer is France has the highest profit amongst the listed countries. And this is excellent because we all know all these businesses have different names and explanations for everything out there. And your user could actually ask for more information. Which country has the highest thingy? Please show this by months as a line chart in this chat. There we are. Based on the available data, profit in France, the country with the highest profit, shows significant month-to-month fluctuations through peaking in October and December. And we have our line chart with the profit for France because we asked for the highest thingy. If we click on the Prep Data for AI button here, we get some more options. We get this pop-up and it says you can simplify the data schema, you can verify your answers or add AI instructions. Clicking on Simplify the Data Schema, this is so helpful because you can actually say what kind of stuff, and stuff I mean tables, columns, measures, Copilot shouldn't look at. And again, row level security and all your security measures are in place so people don't see stuff they shouldn't see. But you can say maybe you have these measures in there, test measures, all kinds of stuff that is not relevant to understand the data. Just unclick them, like month number. And then Copilot will not take this into account. Now we have one table, but well, I know these data models with 50 tables in there, and there are all these tables that are just add-ons or helper tables. I don't want these helper tables to show up in my results. So I would unselect them. Make sure that your user and Copilot uses only and sees only the data that is relevant to them. So you should prep your data for AI. Then we have the verified answers. And here we already have one with our highest profit where we have 4 phrases. To get to this place, you would go to this set up a verified answer. And then you go through that whole thing. And then we have add AI instructions. Provide context on important data fields, business goals, and industry terms to improve Copilot. Again, if you know that everyone calls profit thingy, make sure that's in there. If you have all kinds of if then else statements, put that in there. Explain to Copilot what is going on. The better you prepare the data, the better you explain what's going on, and the better questions your end user asks that is using Copilot, the better the result will be. It's just like talking to like real people. If you just give them like one word, it's probably not enough to understand what you really want. Providing as much context as possible also helps for Copilot. And you can actually put in there 10,000 characters, so you can write a lot about your specific business rules. So that's the prep data for AI. And the last thing I want to show you, let's look at our DAX query view. This is actually a measure here that I created with Copilot. I will just go to new query here. If we go here, we see there's nothing at the moment, and I can open Copilot and I can say, I want to see the profit by country for the past 6 months. Let's see what Copilot comes up with. So we actually see we have this evaluate statement and then what's happening. We look at country, date, last 6 months, and it looks at total profit. So this we can run because of the evaluate statement. And then we get the information here. Now we can say we want to keep this query because I have exactly what I wanted. Keep query. Now maybe this was created by a coworker and I have no clue what I'm looking at. I mark this, I open Copilot, and I could say, could you please explain this query? And there we are. We get this DAX query summarized profit by country for the last 6 months. And then it creates a filter, how it ends, how it's ordered, and some example output. Especially if you have very complex DAX, this can really help you to break it down. And you may see you have this update model with changes at the top. We can actually click that. Power BI tells you, do you want to update your model with these changes? Because if you want to make this undone, you will need to do some work. I say update model and I see a measure popping up, last 6 months, profit. It was actually added to my model. So I could go here, last 6 months profit. I pick the country and I actually see the last 6 month profit. So that's super easy. I mean, this works very nicely, especially because you can upload things to your model there, the DAX measures that you're creating. So in summary, going back, this was supposed to be a short video. It's not so short, I'm sorry, but it's mainly because there's so much already possible. And I know it can be a little bit confusing, especially with the standalone experience, with the online experience, with the desktop experience, with the prep your data for AI and writing DAX. I know there's a lot going on. There are a lot of places you can click, especially if you're new to it. But I would suggest you just get started. And I got started in the standalone experience, just looking like what reports can I find, what models can I find. Then I went to do Power BI Desktop because I just wanted to try it out, put some data in and let Copilot create a report and talk to my data. Because I wanted to see how good is it? Will it replace me? At this moment, it will not replace me because I can visualize data much better, much more target oriented, really for my end users. However, this is a great starting point and it can also inspire you. And especially if you just got started with Power BI, this can be such a great way to get a starting point for your report. So I am kind of a fan of Copilot and Power BI. I think it has a lot of potential and I think at least try it and see how it works for you. And I'm very curious for the people that already tried it, what your experience is. What are you missing? What do you really like? Did I miss something in this explanation? Let me know